Hey guys, my name is Moshpity and I've got a couple replays in the T-62 Era 2 medium tank. And right off the bat we are in Mannheim. T-62, it has 3 degrees of gun depression, it has a horrendously long aim time, it has no armor. What it does have is decent mobility and fantastic shell velocity. Pretty good penetration and a hard-hitting high alpha gun. And that's it. Let's see what we can do with it. Originally I hated this tank, like really despised this tank. I struggled so much with the 3 degrees of gun depression. Struggled so much with the gun handling. And eventually I found just my setup. Basically I'm running vents, I'm running stabilizer. I'm running all of the accuracy skills on the commanders. And yeah, just take chances. Just take chancey shots. Odds are you're gonna hit more than not, and that's enough. So right off the bat, we are on the bridge on the right side. There's 2 main bridges in this map, and I usually play on the right side bridge no matter what spawn I get, because I just know this side of the map a bit better, and I think you get a little more cover on this side from like whatever snipers there might be, whatever like crossfire you might get. Maybe that's just me. Maybe there's no difference. Anyway, we find some easy shots. Well, relatively easy. 3 degrees of gun depression. You would think I don't want to be in high ground, and you'd be right. But the issue, and yet another issue of the T-62, is that it has a front-mounted engine, and the front-mounted engine is made of tinfoil, and bubblegum, and fuel. And matchboxes, because of course, when it's a Russian tank. Basically, I'm in high ground, and peeking over the ledge here, in hopes of like baiting shots that I'm gonna have to take some shots to get shots in myself. I'm hoping to get the shots into my turret. Specifically my turret, because the turret doesn't really house anything important. It has my radio, essentially. I think there might be a small ammo rack, but it rarely gets hit. So I'm trying to like get the inevitable shots into my turret, so that I only take health damage. If they hit my hull, there's a very, very high chance I'm just gonna catch fire immediately. And they could break my ammo rack, they could light me on fire, they could do all sorts of nasty things if they hit my hull. If they have to hit me in the turret, please. Just give them the other cheek. So we got into the absolute thick of it. We're kind of getting lucky that the enemies aren't focusing us, but then I was relying on the fact that my team is playing in the water. Basically playing in the waterway and taking aggro and just try to force these guys into hold down positions like that FB4211 right there, which means we get flanking shots on them. And if they try to take shots on us, they turn their turret sideways, and hopefully my team can punish them at that point. This is kind of my playstyle in a nutshell. Just get into the absolute thick of it, take a lot of chances. Over time, the more you take chancy shots, the more you take chancy plays like this, the more you start seeing patterns where you're not so much relying on luck, and you get an intuition for when it's safe and when it's not safe to play in here or there. Take out the armadillo though, that's nice. That was a great example of the shell velocity. This thing is very good for sniping light tanks. Not the accuracy so much, but the shell velocity makes it so easy. Like, leading is not an issue. Lead just a little bit or none at all, and usually get it in, and the high alpha makes very short work of light tanks in Era 2. M60A2. This thing is really quite trolly. It doesn't have conventional armor, but it's very like boat shape. The hull, the turret has some god tier angles as well, so it can really troll me. Since I'm firing APs here, especially, the angled armor is much more like hard to penetrate than conventional armor. And we take a shot to the hull because I'm an idiot. I forgot my own rule. Immediately caught fire, just as I said previously. And the engine wasn't even front mounted. I was actually wrong. You saw that the engine was rear mounted, but what happens when people shoot you through this absolute tinfoil tank, I think, is that the shell goes through your entire tank and into the rear and blows your engine. But the same rule applies. Just do not show your hull. Right here, I'm on the ramp to work my miserable gun depression. You have some more gun elevation. You actually have quite a bit more gun elevation. You have only 3 degrees of gun depression. So if you can, you want to throw yourself down a slope and aim up from that slope to use your gun elevation as your gun depression, essentially. We got a little lucky there that they couldn't get a shot in, but the shots they were trying to take, like I saw we were getting targeted, but it was so incredibly narrow, the shots. They had to hit me between the railing and the side of the ramp. So, I mean, they would have needed some god tier luck, and that wraps up the first game. 6,700 damage. Not bad for such a underrated and honestly even myself starter medium tank on era 2. And I noticed that I'm not in 3 marks anymore. I burned it before, and I took that personally. So we move on to the next game where I try to get it back. Alright, so second replay, we are in El Alamein, and we got lucky with the A1 spawn. It's totally playable from the K0 spawn. The only issue for me specifically is that I'm not in the fastest tank, and I have no armor. So trying to get out of the K0 spawn usually means I'm gonna take a shot or two without really being able to retaliate. And so that would be quite unfortunate on account of me trying to get my 3 marks back. In case you didn't know, you do not lose your marks of excellence. Once you have any on your barrel, they will stay there forever. They can't be taken away from you, but I'm a petty little tanker, so when I saw I've lost my position, I wanted to regain it. Just for my own amusement. And, right, El Alamein. You will see just how bad 3 degrees of gun depression is when you're not in an urban environment. It's such a pain in the ass. I'm really like just trying to wrap my head around the fact that I truly cannot get my gun down from here without exposing my entire tank to their snipers. So I'm trying to look for a shot, and I have no idea how that missed. I actually think it went through his tracks on both ends, because it's the M60s are a little elevated from the ground, or quite elevated from the ground. So I think it just went through its tracks. We go for the BMP-1. The first shot I think tracked it. That was just an unfortunate RNG. The second one shot went in as he was taking a shot with his rocket. And that one just completely whiffed. I have no idea if I even had an actual shot. There might have been actually something in between. That's one of those things where I like to take chancy shots, and I suggest everyone does. If you've got a lot of ammo, use it. You might get lucky and hit, and if you don't, it's totally fine. It's free. It's a free shot, why not take it? So you can see on the map there's a heavy on my left in the little ravine in the middle. My squad mate, I think he's playing the FB411 himself, has called out it's a T-62 Euro. So I have no real fear of him. He's such a lightly armored heavy, and he's dealing with 2 top barrel heavies there, so I don't think it's going to be a risk. And there you go. He's gone. I'm stubbornly trying to play this location, and then I decided, okay, yeah, I think I learned my lesson. 3 degrees of gun depression is just unusable. Now I'm gonna take some fire from the snipers, and I know they're there, but you gotta take chances if you're gonna relocate, and you have to make that decision sooner than later. If you give them time to like get acclimatized, like, okay, this guy's there, if he's gonna move, I'm gonna shoot him. You don't want the enemy to get that kind of time to think. We got a shot in the Magok there. I wasn't expecting to go through it, but I did hope to get its tracks, and we did. And somehow, by some miracle, we actually penetrated the second shot through the same exact spot. And I think it's just... It was one of those things where it was like within the penetration RNG, but not quite lucky enough with the first shot. So now I'm pushing in. Basically, at the very beginning there, my hope is to get some free shots and some spotting damage. As it turned out, I didn't get any shots and I didn't get any spotting damage, so I changed my strategy to be very aggressive and try to go for tracking shots. First I tracked the Magok, then I tracked that Centurion 9, and the thing with tracking shots is you tend to do damage while you're at it. So it's like a double whammy, where spotting you usually don't want to go for the shot. What happened there with the M113? 3 degrees of gun depression. I obviously had a shot on him, but I wanted to go for the tracking shot, just as I mentioned there. So as I was trying to get my gun down, I ended up missing both the tracking shot and a damaging shot. Tracking shot on the Leopard. On A3 here. Go for another one, don't get it. And yeah, like I said, I basically have 2 modes. I never go for raw damage. I go for spotting and raw damage, or I go for tracking and raw damage. I'm just a team-oriented player like that, in the sense that, you know, I want damage holistically. It doesn't matter to me if it's assistance or not, so I always try to think how can I get both? How can I get raw damage and assisting damage at the same time? So obviously my second strategy, the tracking and damage, works a whole lot better as the game went down. I'm like, come on, 3 marks, I don't know what the requirement is, I want all of the damage, please. And we're sitting on 40,200 raw, 2,300 tracking assist. Let's see if we get we got the MVP. We get a lot of silver and we get a lot of XP, but do I get the Mark of Excellence? I do. So there you go, T-62. It's hard, but it's fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed these videos and this commentary. And yeah, if you've got any, maybe you have suggestions, maybe you've seen something on my channel and want to see more of that with a commentary this time, let me know and I'll look into it.